My hotel's as clean as an elven arse.
Look at Kristen, honey. It's the heroes of the Sword Coast. They're the real deal.
The Lord of Murder shall perish.
Ooh, I'm gonna work out some anger on you.
Hey, don't click me! I don't want any trouble!
But in his doom he shall spawn a score of mortal progeny.
And the rivers run red!
Tell me.
Chaos will be sown from their passage.
Go for the eyes, boo! Go for the eyes!
Dreadfully sorry, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to kill you.
So saith the wise Alondo.
Baldur's Gate, one of the better games made by my mom. Unfortunately, she's a painter with a physics degree, doesn't know much about video games, but she tried really hard, and the end result is good, but sometimes it's really obvious that this was made by a person who isn't an expert on game design. Spoiler policy. This is an ancient RPG with a story that is not terrible, but it's also not well told. Baldur's Gate is not the kind of experience where you worry about spoilers.
The Citadel of Candlekeep houses the finest and most comprehensive collection.
We were raised and currently reside in the library fortress of Candlekeep on the Sword Coast, which is a region in the world of Toril, a popular setting of many fantasy games of the period. I love the tavern music. Here we can practice our thieving skills in a controlled environment. All kinds of individuals stay in Candlekeep. We are an orphan, a ward of Gorion, a scholar and a mage. But who is our real dad? Well, that's a mystery. Some decades ago, the inhabitants of the realms lived through a rough period of history known as the Time of Troubles.
A chaotic period when gods were made flesh and forced to walk the earth.
One of these gods foresaw his own death and came up with a contingency plan. It involved impregnating many mortal women, not all of them human, in order to produce divine offspring. The god was Baal, his domain was murder, and his many children are called Baalspawn. So yeah, who knows who our real dad is? Maybe it's this guy, or this guy.
My hotel's as clean as an elven arse.
Hello there.
The game loves doing this, dumping a block of text and issuing a quest that gets auto-accepted and then auto-resolved once you finish it. Skyrim and Fallout 4 were criticized for doing something like that, but if you think about it, they were simply returning to tradition. Thankfully, this mostly happens in the first 2 chapters, primarily during these Candlekeep questlets. As the game progresses, the developers begin to take player agency more seriously.
By Moradin's hammer!
Rivor the dwarf here makes us do another traditional RPG ritual, that is, killing rats in order to familiarize yourself with combat mechanics.
I have a blade with your name on it.
While exploring the buildings in the courtyard, we are attacked by an assassin. Yeah, I think I'll have to explain something about our character. Meet Vashar Vo. This is her insanely overpowered character sheet. She's a foreigner. The name was created via the Forgotten Realms name generator. There is a backstory to all this. I've been stuck in Baldur's Gate for what seems like an eternity. 3 real-life years ago, I bought a copy of the game on Steam because I heard they made the multiplayer mode actually work in the Enhanced Edition. Multiplayer in a classic RPG? Well, maybe that would be fun. So I made this character, an assassin, a subclass, or a kit of a thief archetype. Not amazing in combat, but an important utility class. Most Infinity Engine games allow you to save your character in a file and then reuse them in another playthrough, or in a sequel. So when the multiplayer turned out to be not super fun, I kept playing with the same character in single player. At the time, Beamdog just released a fresh expansion to this ancient Infinity Engine game. Something like that doesn't happen every day. Sure, I want to try it out. But there was a problem. Out of all of the millennial RPGs, Baldur's Gate was always the hardest for me to get into. This is true now, and this was true back when I played this for the first time as a kid. So, in order to find some enjoyment in this experience, I needed to establish house rules, 2 of them. First of all, no reloads. Whatever happens, happens. If I die, I'll have to start over from the beginning. Second, every time I'll die, I'll use the character export feature to start over with the same character. Like in Planescape Torment. We even get to keep most of our items and memories, so no attempt is truly wasted. Vashar Vo has been adventuring for years, dying dozens of times only to come back to life and try again. Over the many playthroughs, I got to max level, acquired godlike stats, changed the character's name, portrait, voice actor, gender, and skin color. Several times, in fact. Vashar and I, we've been through much together. Every possible season, house renovations, you must construct additional pylons, Nicosia, Cyprus, Moscow, and Cyprus again. I've been playing this game on a plane flight to Belarus just as COVID was conquering the planet, and then as the country was rocked by civil unrest. Can you believe it? We almost killed the back in Russia, whatever the fuck this was. 3 years.
The Lord of Murder shall perish.
Time for this adventure to end. Today, we finish this. Imoen is our childhood friend who also grew up in Candlekeep. Something I have always found to be very strange about this dialogue is our character's patronizing tone. Imoen is supposed to be approximately our age, but we keep referring to her as child.
You must learn to be patient.
That would be Gorion, the man responsible for our upbringing. He says we need to leave Candlekeep as soon as possible. I've got the hint with the assassins. He probably pissed off somebody powerful.
Listen carefully. If we ever become separated, it is imperative that you make your way to the Friendly Arm Inn. There you will meet Khalid and Jahira.
For some reason, in the Enhanced Edition, camera zooms way the fuck out during cutscenes.
Let's hurry, child. The night can only get worse, so we must find shelter soon. Don't worry. I'll explain everything as soon as there is time.
Actually, he's about to die, so I'll be the one doing the explaining. Our foster father is a member of a secret society called the Harpers. A big deal in the Forgotten Realms, the Harpers are kind of like an anarchist fantasy CIA with an ecological twist. They are also adventurers. 2 decades ago or so, Gorion and his adventuring party interrupted a ritual in a temple of the dead god Baal. 2 little babies were about to be sacrificed by the Baal cult in order to accelerate their lord's return to the realms. The Harpers saved the children. Well, they saved one of them. The second child was left behind. In hindsight, a lot of problems could have been avoided if the Harpers would have just rescued both. We are an adopted son of Gorion. Normally, the player has no knowledge of his dark heritage until much later in the game, but we've learned all this in our many past lives. We've also learned the name of the armored figure, Sarevok.
You know why I'm here. Hand over your ward and no one will be hurt. If you resist, it shall be a waste of your life.
Get out of here.
The battle is a scripted sequence showcasing the awesome and incoherent spectacle that are the late-game mage fights. Gorion exterminates most of the Sarevok's posse of losers, but he is no match for the armored swordsman.
Hand over your ward, the armored fiend had said.
Wasn't about Gorion or the Harpers, he was after us. An early morning. The journey begins. The Baalspawn saga consists of 2 main titles and 3 expansions. That's hundreds of hours of exploring, meeting people, and solving tactical challenges. We'll walk the path from a scared teenager forced to flee his home to a leader of armies, a captain of an interdimensional ship with a double-digit dragon kill count. Admittedly, the spaceship and the dragons are from the second game.
Hey, it's me, Imoen.
Our childhood friend followed us in secret. Imoen saw everything. It's good to see her, even though Pure Thief is not the most useful class, especially since we also are one. Imoen, who will play a surprisingly important role in the Baldur's Gate saga, was actually a last-minute addition to the campaign. Her portrait is very generic-looking, and the voice lines are supposed to be used by another character.
You're a queer fellow.
I wish my mom made her a fighter or a ranger. A lot of problems with low-level combat in this game could have been circumvented this way. We investigate the site of Gorion's death. On the body there is a note warning him of the coming danger, kickstarting the events of the game. The note is signed E, a messenger of the Grand Dukes. Another caravan was raided northeast of Beregost. The game loves to populate the maps with little encounters such as this one. The wizard Xar and his sidekick, the fighter thief Montaron, are potential companions. Some of the first we meet.
Montaron, you are so aggravating!
enervating! 'Tis disturbing to my demeanor!
They offer us healing potions as a token of goodwill. To the south of here, there is a town called Nashkel. There is some sort of a problem with the local mine. They want to go investigate. Sure, why not? Nothing else to do. Xar is a wizard with reasonable stats. Constitution could be a little higher, but whatever. Baldur's Gate has a confused relationship with wizards. They become great once they hit mid and high levels, but early on they are a burden.
Ye already be disturbed, now leave me be. Your company be toil enough as is.
Monteron is a more useful character. Multi-class thieves are generally superior to pure thieves like Imoen. He is capable of using fighters' weapon arsenal while having the utility of a rogue. The stats are okay, but not min-maxed. Of course, both Xar and Monteron are evil psychopaths working for the Gentarim, the Black Network. This might cause problems later on. We'll be populating the world map with locations as we discover them.
Oh, there, wanderer. Stay thy course a moment to indulge an old man.
The old man is Elminster. Remember the letter signed E? Yeah. He is one of the founding members of the Harpers and one of the most powerful individuals in the realms. Elminster is a Mary Sue character par fucking excellence, with an impressive list of powers and adventures, including having fucked a god, as in with his dick. Traversing these wilderness areas, listening to the sounds of nature and the unimposing ambient music is the heart of Baldur's Gate experience. None of the subsequent games possess this. I have to say that's a beautiful color palette. Green, yellow, red. It's very, I don't know, comfy. Something the game does fantastically well is itemization. Dealing with the ogre encounter gets us this thing. Girdle of Masculinity/Femininity. It's an item that flips the wearer's gender. It's possible to use this to trigger male-only romances with a woman character and vice versa. Let's turn Xar into a woman. Oh wow, Xar, you look hot.
Could do no other.
Stop touching me!
This is their normal voice, by the way. Xar is always like that. The voiceover doesn't change. What was that Gorion said back in Candlekeep? The Friendly Elm Inn. Khalid and Jahira. Let's go. The inn turned out to be an imposing fortress. The enhanced edition we're playing is more customizable than the original game. I use it to make the UI elements a little bigger. Another assassin encounter. A wizard this time. This battle usually serves as a tutorial for surviving crowd control. 200 gold? Wow, we aren't worth much. Not yet. I love the tavern music in this game. You immediately feel like sitting down and relaxing with a glass of, some sort of a social alcohol. How do you do, fellow alcohol drinkers?
How long must we wait here? Things stir to the south as we sit.
Khalid and Jahira, husband and wife, Harpers, like Gorion. They too want to investigate the town of Nashkel and the mine. They're coming with us.
Nature's servant awaits.
Jahira is a fighter druid multi-class. Very few companions are properly min-maxed, but her stats are fine. A druid is sort of like a nature-themed cleric, so her very low wisdom might be a problem. But then this is a low-level adventure, so we might not even get to the point where this would matter.
Yes?
Khalid is a fighter with a speech impediment. A good man, but not very brave. In this party, he will be using a longbow. Many rich folk are staying in the rooms on the upper floors. A thief can do quite a bit here. Again, we click on a wizard NPC and he unceremoniously shits out a single paragraph block of text with a bunch of quest information that we then auto-accept. The party is heading south. First to the nearby town of Beregost. Afterwards to Nashkel, a settlement on the border between Baldur's Gate and the nearby nation of Amn, which has sovereignty over it. A traveler says Beregost is to be garrisoned in case of Amnish attack.
Good day,
Fine day to use.
This early 3D intro to Beregost was removed from the Enhanced Edition due to it being both unnecessary and kind of terrible. In Skyrim units, Beregost is about 2.5 Whiteruns in size. Not quite as much content, however. Most of the buildings are civilian residences.
Hello there. I have a pretty proposal for you.
Garrick is a bard. A power gamer's class it is not, although bards are capable of using magical wands, which are very powerful consumable items in this game. Garrick is being taken advantage of by this rogue, Silky, who wants us to help her kill some of her business partners or something. We can side with either party.
And the rivers run red!
What is it? Easily done.
A Another lovely tavern track. So the dwarf wizard in the friendly Almin, this is his house. The quest he gave us involves killing giant spiders infesting it. These pathfinding issues are a classic Infinity Engine problem. The enhanced edition did little to resolve them. Monteron and Jahira's voice actors are very expressive. A voice actor makes like 75% of a Baldur's Gate NPC. There are very few companion interactions, there is little dialogue. The companion quests do exist, but are rudimentary. It's all about the voice actor, the gimmick, and the mechanical role.
Here now, get out. I don't like you typing here.
You tell him, Marl.
Baldur's Gate is a game by Bioware, but it's not a Bioware game, not in terms of its genre.
Hey, don't click me! I don't want any trouble!
A boomer RPG equivalent of a dad joke. Another feature that differentiates this game from a Bioware RPG is the important freedom to randomly barge into any house and kill whoever you want and take their stuff. This guy is the wizard we met in the tavern back in Candlekeep. The new robe looks good on Xarina.
I don't
As you
want to
wish.
seem confrontational, but could you be a little less, evil?
A voice actor and a gimmick. Beating the crap out of these two Ogrillians was fun, but the absolute majority of encounters in Baldur's Gate are against trash mobs. For your sanity's sake, it's important to have your party optimized to roll through these as fast as possible. Nashkel. It's getting late. Amn is a rich merchant nation to the south of Baldur's Gate. It's sort of like the Forgotten Realms equivalent of Venice. Technically, we are in another country right now. The streets are patrolled by Amnish soldiers, not the Flaming Fist mercenaries. Nashkel is a tiny settlement, half a Riften maybe, and that's being generous. This is a rare cleric assassin that uses a summoned weapon and a crowd control spell. Looks like they raised the bounty. Nice.
Never had rats. No sorry.
The enhanced edition replaces the original early 3D cutscenes with these stylized versions that fit the game much better. Some players experience nostalgia for the old style, and I guess that's understandable.
But tonight the visions are vivid indeed.
Occasionally our character will experience paranormal dreams. From the description, they actually sound really uneventful. We wake up with a new minor special ability. The exact powers you get depend on the alignment and reputation. Most of these are not useful, but some of the later ones are quite potent.
Tis surprising what one can learn at a simple country fair.
Like Elminster, Volo is one of the Forgotten Realms legends, a renowned traveler and a storyteller. We should go before he starts shitting out paragraphs at us. So, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. The game doesn't have a single dragon, and its dungeons are very hit and miss. For one, most of them are built like mazes, dull to look at. For two, the corridors are very narrow, creating pathfinding issues, especially since you have to move through them with a party of 6. That's annoying. This kind of design should have never left the play testing stage.
An open wound in Mother Earth. I would plug it had I the power.
That being said, Baldur's Gate is nothing but a game of contrasts, having some of the worst dungeons I've ever experienced and some of the best. More on that later, once we get to the expansion content. Uninspiring interiors, pathfinding bugs, and trash fights. Nashkel mines seem to be specifically designed to torment the player. See that kobold spellcaster? He was added by the Sword Coast Stratagems mod I'm using.
Make this good as done.
It does a lot to address the problem of boring encounters, but like I said earlier, this Baldur's Gate installation is several years old. Beamdog, to their credit, never stopped updating the game, and one of the patches seems to have partially broken the mod. I'll probably have to uninstall it. Mulahey, the Halfor cleric, is in charge of the kobolds terrorizing the workers. I played this battle a million times, but he still somehow managed to catch us with our pants down. Xar dies. We can resurrect her, but I have a better idea. Xar and Monteron are linked companions. If you boot one, the other also leaves. One way of circumventing that is getting one of them killed and then booting the corpse from your party. The character is now permanently dead, but thankfully there is a replacement waiting for us in this very cave.
We're all doomed.
Xan is a pessimistic elven enchanter. His stats are fine, except for very low constitution. As an enchanter, he can't learn some of the more powerful offensive magic, like Fireball or Cloud Kill. Most Baldur's Gate characters have a special gimmick, and this is his. Moonblade +3 is a fantastically powerful magical sword no one else can use. Unfortunately, with his pathetically low constitution score, Xan won't be going on the offensive.
The death of Mulahey will relieve the fears of the terror terrorized folk of Nashkel.
The document we found on the cleric's body says his actions were coordinated by someone named Tranzig, who is currently residing in Beregost. Back in Nashkel, the locals are relieved their mine problems are over.
I am death come for thee.
This dork is yet another assassin. They're getting more dangerous. He casts Mirror Image, a powerful defensive spell. The summoned monsters are an addition made by the Stratagems mod. The local guards help deal with the threat.
Stay thy course a moment to indulge an old man.
Elminster comes to chat with us again. Says nothing about anything pretty much, except that we are important somehow.
Easily done. Tranzig's not afraid of rubble, such as you.
You probably should be. I killed you over 20 times already. The mod buffs this guy a little bit, but he's still pretty pathetic. Tranzig eventually confesses that he works for someone named Tazog, a bandit leader who resides in a forest east of the friendly Amn Inn. That's our next stop. The game has random encounters that you stumble into while traveling on the world map. Some of these are interesting, like this fight against a hostile adventuring party, but most are just meaningless trash fights. Quite a bit of biome variety in Baldur's Gate. Urban environments, arid plains, hills and mountains, temperate forests. Sure, compared to a modern RPG, this is nothing to write home about. Still, next to the game's contemporaries, this is impressive. The Hobbit village of Gulliken, a quarter of a Riften. See this hole in the ground? Hard to miss. It's the game's premier grinding location, since you can spawn an infinite amount of these unknagged creatures by resting. They give good XP, and the shells can be sold to the smith in Beregost for 500 fantasy bucks. We died in this cave once, a long time ago. One of the absolutely bizarre features of this game is that you can easily hit level cap before even arriving at the titular city of Baldur's Gate. It's like I said, my mom is a painter, not a video game person. There is an argument some nerds make online that the focus on low levels allowed the devs to precisely tweak the encounters to be more tactically complex. My response to this is, motherfucker, have you ever played Baldur's Gate? Not a rhetorical question. We'll return to this in a later chapter. 95% of battles in this game are trash filler fights. But admittedly, when the battles are good, they're good. Some of these will be coming shortly. We lie to the bandits saying we want to join their organization. This being D&D, charisma is an attribute, but unfortunately it's checked almost never. Well, except in stores where it lowers the prices. And here is Tazog. Unimpressed with us, he attacks, but once we put enough arrows into his ass, Tazog changes his mind and allows us to access their camp. Yeah, I guess I should uninstall or update the mod. The Bandits are a multiracial society of men and demi-humans. The Hobgoblin band is called the Chill. They also have gnolls, but these are kept separate, too aggressive to live with the others. The leadership tent, we better pre-buff. I have to say the Stratagems mod makes this battle a lot more challenging. You can't just brute force it with a wall of archers. Xan casts a chaos spell that incapacitates most of the bad guys. We interrogate the prisoner. Tazog's been making regular visits to Cloakwood, our next destination. Phew, that was close. Almost had to start over. The bandits have some fantastic items. Legacy of the Masters, one of the best sets of gloves in the game, provides a bonus to accuracy and damage. Almost every aspect of Baldur's Gate is flawed, but itemization, I'm glad to say, is an exception.
Mullahay and Tazok have proven to be nothing more than puppets.
Let's recap. The region is suffering from a shortage of quality iron. This is actually reflected in game mechanics. Normal non-magical weapons would randomly break after use. The shortage is caused by kobolds sabotaging the Nashkel mines, who are controlled by a half-orc priest, who is controlled via a messenger by the bandit leader Tazog, who is controlled by someone. Cloakwood is an idyllic-looking forest that is nevertheless extremely dangerous. I died no less than 4 times here. The forest consists of 5 areas that need to be explored sequentially. Each has a different theme and threats. This one is about spiders, traps, and poison.
Yes, omnipresent authority figure.
Healing and pre-buffing prior to the battle ahead that already killed me once. The creature in the center commands the spiders somehow. Let's see what we got. A cursed ring. A magic wand, and a sweet two-handed sword.
It would be good for you to watch your actions while in this wood.
The next area is the home of shadow druids. They are like normal druids, but evil or misanthropic or something. The stratagems mod makes this little treehouse the arena of the most challenging battles so far. The archdruid, or whoever that was, transforms into various creatures and uses a variety of defensive and crowd control spells. A +2 club. That's a little boring. The only functioning mine in the region is surrounded by a fenced encampment and protected by mercenaries. This is a challenging fight, best to open with a backstab. This monster summoning ability was something added by the mod, and it causes us a lot of problems. A magical plate and a pair of boots of speed.
I hate them flaming fist pansies.
The mine is bigger than the one in Nashkel with a more sophisticated machinery. Does the game take advantage of all these tight corridors to create tactical challenges? No, it does not. Actually, this is not entirely true. The next encounter has us fighting a group of goons that have a wizard on their side. She can cast a lightning spell that absolutely will fuck you up in tight spaces. Hey, look, a bandit kitchen. The chef was a hobgoblin. The secret door conceals the lair of the wizard in charge of this place. This is a boss battle of sorts. In the vanilla game, he's kind of a pushover. The Stratagems mod adds 2 animated suits of armor to this fight. These are extremely dangerous high-level enemies. If we get crowd controlled, it's basically over. So instead, I send my assassin alone into the boss room in stealth mode, hoping to catch him in a vulnerable state once the magical defenses expire. Eventually, this works.
You have dealt a great blow to the organization known as the Iron Throne.
The Iron Throne is a mercantile entity from Baldur's Gate. Almost forgot. We should flood the mine before we leave. God damn, I think I forgot to warn the workers. Whatever, I'll save them in the next life. No idea how Monteron managed to get there. Despite years of support, the enhanced edition is noticeably janky. This bridge connects the city of Baldur's Gate with the rest of the game world. The location can be visited at any point, but they won't let us into the city until the Cloakwood situation is resolved.
Can I help you?
This guy, Quail, is a multi-class cleric mage, a combination with interesting utility, but unfortunately he has a pathetic wisdom score, so we won't be taking him.
What if we were to return to Baldur's Gate together? What would people say, do you think?
It's time we talk about Sarevok. Remember the story about how Gorion and the Harpers rescued us from the Baal cult, but the other child was left behind? Little baby Sarevok grew up as a street urchin. Eventually, he was adopted by a man named Rialtar Anchev, an influential leader of a merchant organization called the Iron Throne. Sarevok got lucky. His dad is rich as fuck. Years later, the boy learned of his dark heritage. His studies of Baal lore took him to the library fortress of Candlekeep. He became aware of the other Baal spawn living there, us. Sarevok began getting involved in father's business. The mine in Nashkel would be sabotaged. Bandits would terrorize merchants and travelers around Baldur's Gate. The iron shortage. Politicians would lay blame on the neighboring nation of Amn. The fire rises. In the meantime, the Iron Throne would strike at the rival merchant houses, replacing many of their members with doppelgangers. The secret mine in Cloakwood would remain the only functional iron-producing facility in the region. Rialtar meddled in politics only as long as it brought him financial gain. Tensions with Amn were good for business, but the actual war probably was not. So things needed to be de-escalated. But for Sarevok, this wasn't about gold at all. His plan was to undergo apotheosis. He saw the potential war with Amn as one huge ritual, a sacrifice to the Lord of Murder, his real dad. By engineering murder on a massive scale, Sarevok would ascend to godhood, taking Baal's vacant place on the throne of blood. I think Baal's heritage makes you a little socially confused. This Skeletor suit Sarevok has, it wasn't just his Darth Sidious secret persona. He was wearing this in the Ducal Palace, posing as a hero of the people. There are many aspects of Sarevok that make me like him as a character. His plan is sensible, methodical, and involves being evil as fuck, while manipulating public perception in order to become a beloved savior of the nation. Welcome to Baldur's Gate.
Oh, there, Wanderer.
Oh no, it's that asshole again. Pretend you didn't see him. Elminster notes that the Flaming Fist officer Scar and Duke Elton can be trusted. The Flaming Fist are the nation's mercenary cops. Baldur's Gate is an RPG big city, or the RPG big city according to some nerds. The place has about as much content as the rest of the game combined. If you happen to like the game's writing, then it's a treat. If you don't, it's a nightmare. Remember Defiance Bay from Pillars 1? I loved exploring that place, but it never felt like a proper city. It felt like an RPG space constructed purely for the player's entertainment. Baldur's Gate, on the other hand, has a sense of self-respect and sovereignty. It doesn't give a damn about the player, which is explicitly communicated by its irrational street layout. Most stores have something unique for sale: a magical item, a scroll, an ammunition type. The Thieves Guild. The sentry asks us for a password, which we don't know, but then he doesn't stop us from getting in. As you expect, there are several thieves quests we can do, but the actual reason for coming here is this. The magical manual that permanently increases our dexterity by 1 point. These manuals is how I got Vashar's stats to godlike levels. The Not Parthenon building looks like it's made of plastic. We free a nymph imprisoned by a wizard creatively named Ragefast. Love the telescope machine. The city is a home to a number of idiot mages who feud with one another. Our assassin climbs on top of the mage's tower by herself. Unfortunately, this guy didn't go down with one backstab. Uh-oh. No, we're good. Reading this book permanently makes you smarter. I wish books worked like this in real life. More fantastic loot. One of the best defensive rings in the game. An ogre mercenary ambushes us in one of the taverns. Despite all the overpowered stats and items, he almost kills Vashar in 3 hits. This tower is the command HQ of the Iron Throne. Strictly speaking, we don't have to kill everyone in this place, but if we don't, then we'll have to click through more dialogue. You played yourself, Peacenik. A huge party versus party battle on top of the tower is the highlight of the chapter. Could have easily died here. I think I did at least once in one of the past lives. The battle was trivialized by Xan casting a chaos spell, one of the best crowd control sorceries in this game and in much of the next one. As expected, the loot is pretty good. The leaders of the Iron Throne are absent. They are currently holding a summit in Candlekeep, the place we grew up in. We should take Elminster's advice and talk to the cops.
I am a man of my word.
This is Duke Elton, the Arch Policeman. He unleashes the mother of all paragraphs. Please send aid.
Your journey has come full circle.
Candlekeep is inaccessible to all outsiders. Yes, even to us, unless they donate a rare book to the castle library. This is why we needed Elton's help. They say you can't go home again, but here we are. Oh hey, it's Flydia, the wizard who gave us one of the tutorial questlets.
The Lord of Murder shall perish.
These dudes are still doing their stupid-ass chant.
So saith the great Alundo.
What's so great about him? Who the hell is Alundo anyway? Just some dork. He was from Candlekeep, so I guess the locals have a hard-on for him and his work.
My hotel's as clean as an elven arse.
Let's go visit the actual castle. It's a huge vertical library with tons of literature on the Forgotten Realms lore. Gorion's old room is on the top floor. This node here is the first opportunity to learn about our Baalspawn heritage. Yeah, it's all communicated via a missable block of text. Baldur's Gate is one of these video game stories that I imagined look really good and smart in the design document, but end up having very little heart and emotion because of bad implementation. A fellow Candlekeep scholar wants to aid us. His name is Coveras, he says. He is here to help. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Who is he trying to fool? If you rearrange the letters in the name Coveras, you'll get A.K. Serov, a Soviet fighter race who flew during the Spanish Civil War. A strange reference, but the famous Bioware doctors were ethnic Ukrainians, so I guess it makes sense. The Iron Throne leaders are in the next room. Coveras told us this. I focus fire the mage with our bow and slings. Not a very hard battle. Doesn't feel like a boss fight because it isn't one. This was a setup. We are arrested. Weird that they didn't bother confiscating our items. Eventually, one of our old mentors comes to visit. He believes we've been falsely accused, lol. He teleports us to Candlekeep catacombs so we can escape.
Hello there.
Hi, Flydia. What are you doing here? A doppelganger, not a real Flydia. Was she ever real? The catacombs are actually one of the more important locations because of the treasure contained within. tons of well-hidden traps. This one could have been lethal. The Ring of Fire Resistance saved our ass there. A Tome of Wisdom, a Cloak of Protection, and a Tome of Strength. The latter is priceless. The Iron Throne are replacing important locals with doppelgangers. Not sure for how long they've been doing this. The people in the tutorial quests in the beginning of the adventure, were they real? Pre-buffing before an important battle with a greater doppelganger. Eventually we end up in a system of caves. A hostile adventuring party is blocking our escape. Died to them once before. No idea why I'm being so reckless with my hit points. The Basilisk attack can cause a petrification effect, which is essentially an instant death. We flood the cave with summoned monsters and just run past them.
You have been accused of murdering the Iron Throne leaders.
Yes, when we walk the streets of Baldur's Gate, random cops will try to arrest us. And if we kill them, this causes a massive reputation penalty, which in turn can cause some party members to desert us.
I'll not allow this to continue.
The alternative is to either avoid them or to allow yourself get arrested.
So, these are the infamous murderers, finally brought to justice.
The good guy cop who was recommended to us by Elminster no longer works here. He no longer lives, I think. Pretty sure Angelo is one of Sarevok's men, and if we talk shit to him... What the fuck? He just executed Montaron, permanently, with no chance of resurrection. I didn't realize that could happen. Both our Gentarian party members have been killed. There is a little bit of reactivity we didn't get to see. Happened in one of Vashar's past lives. The Gents are the natural enemy of the Harpers, the other half of our group. The two cliques will exchange insults and eventually come to blows. You'll have to pick a side. Angelo put an end to that moral dilemma.
Useful gadgets I have.
The creepy halfling murderer Neb says he'll show us a way out if we solve his riddle, which we easily do. It's possible to get anywhere in Baldur's Gate via the sewer system, but we need to get out of the city for a while. Montaron is dead and we need a replacement. Cool environmental audio. Positive reputation can be bought with money. A few thousand Baldur bucks in donations and our companions no longer hate us.
Gorion would be proud of your actions.
I don't care, Khalid. We weren't that close. Nashkel, there is a companion here I want to pick.
Stand and deliver. That my hamster might have a better look at you.
Minsk is an iconic serious character, a ranger from the distant land of Rashomon with a pet hamster called Boo.
You point, I punch.
Minsk mistakenly believes that Boo is a giant miniature space hamster and relies on him for moral support and advice. The man previously received a serious head injury. The character was popular enough to have his own series of the Forgotten Realms comic books. The stats are okay. He can use composite bows. Minsk also has a companion quest that needs to be completed as soon as possible or else he leaves the party. Dinaer is a Rashemi witch being held captive by gnolls in the nearby fortress.
Go for the eyes, Boo! Go for the eyes!
We boot Xan from the group. Not a bad character, but Dinaer is also a wizard, and I like her specialization a little better.
A decency is refreshing. So many we meet are lacking.
Unlike Xan, she can cast some of the more powerful damage-dealing spells. That's not super important, since the best sorceries tend to be either buffs or crowd control spells. Time to go back to Baldur's Gate and confront Sarevok. Here is something that always bothered me. Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. What does that evoke in you, the name? I'm especially interested in the opinions of individuals who never played the game before. It's such a strange title, conjuring absolutely nothing in the imagination. Neverwinter Nights, a poetic and magical name, even though Neverwinter is just the name of a city-state, like Baldur's Gate. Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, one of my favorite RPG names. Easy to remember and with a subtitle elaborating on what it actually means. Deus Ex. It's Latin, so it's kind of techy, fitting the cyberpunk aesthetic. The full version of the phrase refers to an unsolvable problem resolved in an unexpected way. connects with the game's themes. Finally, it's the complete the quote kind of name, which is clever. Baldur's Gate. I don't know, I guess maybe something Norse? Before we get our name cleared, we should stick to the sewers. Remember the fire protection ring we found? We shrug off the hostile cleric's crowd control spells, as Dynair lands her fireballs right on top of our character. The Duke has been poisoned by his doppelganger doctor. We carry the barely conscious man to the docks district. The harbor building is a safe house.
Nasty times are coming, I reckon.
He'll eventually make a recovery. This is the tavern where we fought the ogre mercenary. Below is the undercellar, which is sort of like a private club or a brothel.
Look at Kristen, honey. It's the heroes of the Sword Coast. They're the real deal.
These two are elite assassins in Sarevok's employ, a sorcerer and a rogue, both extremely dangerous.
I've done had enough.
On one of the bodies we find these invitations to the inauguration of the newest Duke of Baldur's Gate. With Elton out of the picture, Sarevok is taking power. We present the invitations to a guard near the palace and he allows us in. The security seems tight. I wonder how many of these people are doppelgangers. The man himself, we better pre-buff.
Antar was killed by shadow thieves, agents of Arm.
The poisoning of Duke Elton was another step in Sarevok's master plan of making the two nations go to war. There is some unintentional comedy here, as Sarevok has been inaugurated while wearing his Hitler suit, as he calmly, point by point, addresses the concerns of the lords using political speak. Eventually, he notices us and the battle begins. Yes, quite a few courtiers turned out to be doppelgangers, but fortunately, none of the Flaming Fist mercs were. Our brother joins the fight. Sarevok, what's going on, big guy? You just killed me in 2 hits. Oh well. Here we go again. If we were to chart the Baldur's Gate experience, it would look something like this. Moments of excitement alternate with minutes of mind-numbing boredom. When Baldur's Gate works, it's pretty good. When it doesn't work, it's a form of torture.
In the year of the turrets, the Lord of Murder shall perish.
The boredom is just the worst. I almost wish this was one of them it's so bad it's good kind of games, but there is just nothing. Eventually your mind begins to wander. So, if I'm half Eastern Slav and half Western Slav, and she is 3/4 German and 1/4 Polish, what would be the level of privilege of the baby?
It is imperative that you make your way to the Friendly Arm Inn.
No, not this time, Garayan. This time, we'll be trying a different approach.
The dawn is especially cruel this morning.
I'll get you eventually, Sarevok. You live in a time, and I do not. We'll try to complete the game solo. It's definitely doable, but a pure thief is not the best class for this. For one, we can't use wands of paralyzation or monster summoning. That's huge. Besides, Sarevok literally just killed us without breaking a sweat. Is it even possible to defeat him as a thief, even with our overpowered stats? My answer to that is hit and run tactics and invisibility potions. We'll need a crap ton of those. The reason we're moving so fast is because of the magical boots of speed. We carry several pairs in our inventory, actually.
I'm gonna slit your throat, I am.
Of course, when playing solo, crowd control spells are especially dangerous. The Merc casts confusion and we lose control of our character. Thankfully, Vashar just keeps attacking. No, please don't! Fuck! Isn't this wilderness exploration track just lovely?
I think I'm coughing up blood.
Well, rip you. A combination of the thieves' stealth abilities and the boots of speed makes the experience of traversing the mines pleasant and quick. The kobold sorcerer is no longer here because I've uninstalled the mod. This is Vanilla Enhanced Edition. Mulahey, the half-orc. A single strike is all it takes. We should make a pit stop back in Nashkel.
Business has been poor, what with the iron shortage and all.
Now, to Barrigost.
Here now, get out. I don't like your type in here.
Out of all D&D video games I've ever played, this, and the sequel, had the best sneak assassin gameplay. Alright, to the bandit camp. I wonder how we're gonna deal with the tent guards. In the previous life, that battle was won by Xan casting a chaos spell. Oh yeah, I uninstalled the mod, so it's easier now. Stealth plus backstab and then instant re-stealth using an invisibility potion.
Take that!
I remember this chest is trapped. Cloakwood. Web is a very dangerous spell, we got lucky there. These guys are much easier without the stratagems mod, but I see no reason wasting time fighting them. As an assassin subclass, we have an ability to poison our weapon. The magical dagger we're using comes pre-poisoned, so when we land a hit, the effect is applied twice for good damage. Without the stratagems mod, the boss doesn't have his animated armor henchmen and is a lot less dangerous as a result. Baldur's Gate 1 has an interesting feature called Charmed Dialogue. Certain NPCs like the mage Deviorn here can be put under the influence of the charm spell or an item effect, and then interrogated via dialogue. They'll tell you all their secrets. As far as I know, this is the only Infinity Engine game that has this feature. As soon as I see Deviorn begin casting a crowd control spell, I go to my inventory and equip a Ring of Reaction.
You have dealt a great blow.
Yeah. Now to Baldur's Gate. Let's buy some invisibility potions and get the dexterity book from the Thieves Guild. Dexterity provides bonuses to thieving skills, which is relevant for us, because an assassin is one of the more incompetent thief kits, skill-wise.
One is not forced to walk in the steps of their father.
We are ambushed by a Harper agent. In my other lives, he was always very helpful, but not this time. Our reputation is very low. Probably something I did in the mine. Actually, it was this. Using stealth, I avoid the Iron Throne fight entirely.
Who dares prod T-Ax?
T-Ax is a chaotic evil cleric thief multi-class with a special ability to summon a guest, which is a type of a zombie.
Soon T-Ax rules!
He is an ultimate utility character. Some of the more interesting NPCs are gated behind the story events and are unavailable for recruitment until you are deep in the mid-game. Yes, sure, I will be a cop informant in Candlekeep, whatever.
When conflict sweeps across the...
Sarevok is trying to trick us into killing his foster father again. Just to be a contrarian, he is going to be the one character I won't assassinate. It doesn't matter at all. The Iron Throne leaders are killed off screen by someone else, probably by Sarevok. We are blamed and arrested. No reason to risk our life fighting these losers.
Life continues to be quite the challenge.
What's up with the audio mixing? The enhanced edition has been out for how long?
I must talk to you in private. These are troubled times.
Tomoko is Sarevok's consort. We've met her before. She was one of the people who took out Gorion. She doesn't want Sarevok to ascend, since him becoming a god would put an end to the romantic connection they have. I really like this sound effect. All doppelganger sound effects, actually. Interesting fact, saving the Duke and bringing him to the harbor building is optional. In order to progress through the story, we need to visit the undercellar and get the invitations from Sarevok's henchmen.
Guess what time it is?
The poison dagger fucking owns. Without the party, I have to rely on the cops to kill the doppelgangers, which takes a while. Eventually, Sarevok himself commits to battle. The flaming fist mercs are hostile to me for some reason, but they ignore us and attack Sarevok. The invisibility potions is how we've been able to survive this mess. Wait, what the hell happened there? White people love to be named Winsky Perorate. Winsky is Sarevok's mentor. He was the one who red-pilled him on the Baal lore. Now our brother wears a Skeletor suit in public and probably thinks soy affects your test levels. What usually happens in this scene is that Winsky teleports in, grabs Sarevok, and then they both teleport out. This time, however, he randomly decided to kill us with a Flame Strike spell, which I didn't know mages could cast. Look at Angelo fighting a greater doppelganger. Aren't they supposed to be on the same side? Decades later, this game is still so janky. Canuck jank. Baldur's Gate 1 had 3 major expansions. Tales of the Sword Coast was released all the way back in 1999. If the nerds are to be believed, it features some of the best content in the saga. 2 decades later, in 2019, Beamdog, the new caretaker of the series, published Siege of Dragonspear. Can't wait to finally get to that one. But the version of the game we're playing right now is Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, released in 2012. And it wasn't just a patch or a remaster or whatever, it actually added quite a bit of new content. But how well do the additions fit into my mom's original design? Let's find out! Our first stop is the Friendly Alm Inn.
Bring me another flagon of ale.
Meet Dorn the Blackguard. Blackguard? That sounds wrong. He mistakes us for a waitress. Dorn won't be joining our party right at this moment, but it's important to trigger this conversation now so that he does later. Our next stop is the forested area to the west of the inn. What do you think happened here? What does the environmental storytelling is trying to communicate to us? If your character has at least 10,000 XP, standing next to the ruined tower triggers this cutscene.
You fool! I am not fully revived!
Baloth the Entertainer is a companion NPC introduced in the Enhanced Edition. He's the main antagonist of the Black Pits campaign, also made by Beamdog.
You wouldn't happen to know the direction of the nearest entrance to the Underdark, would you?
I guess he had a falling out with his former crew or whatever, who cares. Baloth is a powerful sorcerer with great stats, and as a Dark Elf he enjoys a 50% magic resistance bonus. Another new companion is waiting for us in Barrygust.
A little help, please? There's bandits. Vicious, magic bandits.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Is Beamdog writing better or worse than Baldur's Gate writing? Well, it's hard to say because both of them are just terrible. Nira is a wild mage, which is a type of spellcaster that is affected by wild surges.
Stand back and watch this.
There is a 5% chance that a spell they cast will generate a random effect.
Kendall, where did you go?
Onwards to Nashkel, where another companion awaits.
How do you manage it? Until now, I was barely able to keep my head above water.
The new followers are written in the Baldur's Gate 2 style. This means they talk a lot. There are many more interactions with other followers and with the protagonist. There are even companion quests and proto-romances that develop into actual romances in the second game. I think the narrative is scripted in such a way that you always arrive in Nashkel at night, to make you go to the inn and fight the assassin, I guess.
I will show you justice.
That would be Rasad.
Such feats are easy when you learn to focus their energies through the light of Selune.
Cool, occultist. Rasad is often bullied by Baldur's Gate fans because his character sheet is not min-maxed.
I look forward to your instruction.
Normally, that shouldn't be a problem. Barely any characters in this game are optimized. But the thing is, Rasad is a monk, a class that doesn't become good until it hits later levels and thus requires a well-optimized build to not be a burden at the early stages of the game. Recognizing this flaw, Beamdog provided him with a unique pair of boots that improves armor class by 2 points when worn. Very powerful.
You appear troubled.
The new characters have this annoying habit of randomly initiating dialogue with a question about our well-being, but then all the dialogue options we're given are about them and their boring backstory.
So, after giving it some thought, I want to ask you a favor.
Please no. Nira wants our help in finding the wild mage named Adoy. If he managed to survive to a ripe old age despite the dangers of wild magic, maybe he has some useful advice.
You have been waylaid by enemies and must defend yourself.
Hail, and well met.
Interesting accent. I think he's from Romania. This is the initial stage of Dorn's companion quest. His former adventuring buddies betray him, so he sells his soul to one of the many Forgotten Realms demons or devils, becoming an evil paladin.
It shall be even bloodier than you hoped.
It's possible for Dorn to somewhat anticlimactically die in this sequence, happened in one of our past lives.
My powers are none of your concern.
Enjoy the Enhanced Edition audio mixing. And no, everything is set up properly in the options menu, as you can clearly see, but he doesn't say anything important. Dorn is very powerful, possibly the strongest melee companion in the game. In important battles, he will be using a two-handed sword, taking advantage of that 19 strength. For trash battles, that is, for the most of the game, he will be equipped with a composite longbow. His companion quest involves hunting down the rest of his former comrades and fighting them in boss battles.
Do you seek enlightenment?
No. Once again, he pretended to care about our well-being, only to dump a bunch of exposition about his boring life. No wonder you don't have any friends, Rasad. Our group is surprisingly functional, except for one small, gigantic problem. We don't have a cleric, nobody to heal us while resting.
A den of diminutive dullards.
Baloth is a bonus companion. He would occasionally make these interjections and get in dialogue with other followers, but the drow doesn't have a side quest of his own.
Help me! If you don't help me, you'll kill me!
Meet Viconia de Veer, another drow.
Jalcales?
A vanilla character who will be performing the role of a cleric in our party.
I serve the flaming fist!
The cops are after her, because she's a dark elf, nobody likes them. Also, she probably murdered someone. Accepting her into the group makes our reputation decrease by 2 points. Viconia was the first character I've ever romanced in any RPG, although that was in the second game. She is a competent cleric and her stats are interesting. High dexterity is excellent for any character, but low strength means she can't wear a full plate, and having low constitution just sucks. On the other hand, drow magic resistance bonus is fantastic.
Stand at attention, you deficient dimwits. Grab a shovel. We can make the Underdark in a few hours of digging.
Having 2 wizards makes offensive magics more useful overall. 2 fireballs is an effective opener that will wipe out most mid-level parties. I found that I was enjoying this group so much that I've even decided to explore around before heading for the Bandit camp. In this little crypt, we obtain a Wand of Monster Summoning, a very powerful item, completely overpowered prior to the Enhanced Edition changes. My first ever Sarevok kill was achieved by summoning 30 wild dogs and having them swarm the fucker.
The undead rarely rise up of their own accord.
Dorn, this is the Forgotten Fucking Realms, a high magic nonsense setting. The undead rise up all the time for a reason or for no reason. His companion quest, a heavily scripted battle against a necromancer. Before we regain control of the UI, she casts Dispel Magic on us, which just feels cheap.
I can see you suffering.
What? Speak up, I can't hear you.
Someone could betray you.
This is an interesting sequence, I wish it was better written. Dorn will comment on the loyalty of each one of our party members, and they will respond with one-liners. One of the new areas introduced in the Enhanced Edition. It's surprisingly bland and kind of ugly looking. The thing is, the Baldur's Gate graphics are very hit and miss. Sometimes it feels the developers haven't figured out how to make the pre-rendered backgrounds look as good as they do in the subsequent games. The wilderness areas look great, as do the interiors, but the urban locations are meh. And what the hell is this? Looks like something I would make. But the quality of art in Infinity Engine games improved a lot over the years, so it's kind of culturally shocking to explore a location as ugly as this in a remaster. The goblin sprites are originally from Icewind Dale. The creatures aren't hostile, they have several little camps like this one. There are some minor side paths to explore, but mostly you just follow the road. This interior is beautiful, quite a contrast with what we've seen outside. And that would be the wild mage Adoy. He just lived here in this cave minding his own business. One day, while making supper, he accidentally summoned an army of goblins. Fortunately, they began worshipping him as a god. We were being tracked by the Red Wizard Special Forces. They intend on capturing Nira and Adoy so that their powers can be studied.
You will find that I do not submit meekly to tests, especially tests from Red Wizards.
Yeah, and I didn't even finish school.
Adoy wants to help, but he accidentally turns himself into a rabbit. I focus fire the secondary spellcaster, who doesn't have the same spell protections the Red Wizard commander does. We came here to learn how to control wild magic, but obviously Adoy isn't in control of anything.
After coming all this way, I get a belt. It's not even my color.
Oh, don't think I've forgotten you. Watch as I conjure my fabulous treasure trove.
He accidentally teleports away. I've read in the wiki that we'll see him again in Siege of Dragonspear. We make a pit stop in the Friendly Elm Inn.
As you wish.
Double Fireball Alpha Strike in a synergy with a stealth protagonist with a Ring of Fire resistance on. This is one of the new bugs introduced in the Enhanced Edition. Characters would sometimes, actually quite often, get stuck in one another like this. We reach the absolute maximum possible dex score on our protagonist.
Baldur's Gate. This place reminds me of Luskan.
A guy who've only ever been to Luskan. This place reminds me of Luskan. Rassad's companion quest begins in Baldur's Gate. These are the bad guy monks from the opposing monk order who worship Hitler's testicle, I think. Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. Turns out the goddess Viconia serves also has a connection to Hitler, so we have a companion conflict. It's him or me, she says. No, both of you will stay, says our protagonist. Conflict resolved. A nice, relaxing atmosphere. Every time the game gets annoying, I end up in a tavern, and then it's fun again. The Cloud Peaks area is another new addition. Somewhere in this location, there is the base HQ of the Dark Moon cult. The map doesn't look as good as the vanilla maps. Hopefully, Siege of Dragonspear will be better in that department. But I do appreciate the increased diversity of both encounters and environments. In the original Baldur's Gate, we never got to fight monks, and I'm pretty sure there were only like 1 or 2 snowy locations. And it's not just monks. Here is a snow troll, a creature exclusive to this area, a recolored Icewind Dale sprite, I think. I didn't talk much about Rassad's story because it bores me to tears, but the dramatic revelation here is that the leader of the bad guy monks is his brother. The temple interior is both prettier and has more fun combat. We are way too overleveled for this. I recommend doing this quest while still in mid-levels. We absolutely over-prepare with buffs and all, but this is a no-reload run and I have no idea what's coming next. Here is an interesting item, a cursed girdle that gives the wearer absurd strength but reduces their intelligence. This is overpowered because classes that need strength typically don't care about intellect, except for a fighter mage multi-class which is restricted to the protagonist only. But then again, a properly min-maxed protagonist will likely end up with the same or higher natural strength anyway. Another beautiful area where the Shar monks keep animals and demi-humans in cages.
You must gather your party before venturing forth.
Eventually, we reach the peak.
Beloved brother.
It's actually possible to tell Rassad that his brother is right to worship Hitler's testicle. This is a sweet and complex Baldur's Gate 2 style battle. I had to burn some wand charges and then kite the boss monk around the arena until the henchmen are dead. The reward for all this is a sweet pair of gloves for Rassad that improve the accuracy of his attacks.
What do you want? I take no pleasure in idle chat.
You were the ones who initiated the conversation, Dorn. There is a problem. This bridge is where the final stage of Dorn's quest was supposed to begin, but for some reason it didn't. Despite me waiting for weeks and then traveling in and out of the location multiple times. Anyway, I played through this quest in one of our past lives. Basically, it ends in a boss fight with a powerful NPC and a Tanari demon that uses the Baldur's Gate 2 sprite. Dorn's companion quest doesn't add new locations, but all the battles are reasonably entertaining. So, the enhanced edition content. My verdict? The additions are okay. The writing is bad, but it's also bad in the original. The maps are not well designed, but the added environmental diversity is very much welcome. Sure, the character stories weren't great, but they were good enough to make me intrigued to see how they eventually get resolved in the sequel and in Throne of Baal. I briefly mentioned this before, but one surprisingly controversial change made by the enhanced edition was the replacement of the old early 3D cutscenes with new versions that better conform to the style of Baldur's Gate 2 and its expansion. I have no horse in this race. The dumbass early 3D videos were a part of my childhood, so I am sentimental, but they are undeniably terrible. But then again, so is whatever this is. He didn't fly so good. They expect one of us in the wreckage, brother.
You! I found you! You thieving little Greg Duck!
Dealing with the angry halfling is Nira's unmarked little companion side questlet.
Spells? Ye slipped a pot on me head and banged it until I was knocked out, you daft woman!
Sounds like she robbed him.
I am very sorry about...
You don't have to be, that's fine. You didn't even kill him. The people we robbed are not quite so lucky. The Iron Throne fight is solved by the liberal application of the Wand of Summoning.
Conflict sweeps across the day.
Oh hey, Koveras, I know who you are. Goddamn, I think he's invulnerable in this sequence.
You have been wondering what the smiles of my former companions meant after the massacre.
What? Don't speak to me unless spoken to. The Undercellar is also accessible via the sewers. We better take this seriously. I died several times here already. Didn't even have to commit Dorn to melee. Sarevok kills Rassad and then immediately gets spirited away by Winsky. One of the nobles teleports us after him. I get it that this is a crisis, but I wish there was an option to decline, since now we have to go all the way back, raise Rassad, and grab all his stuff. Underneath the Thieves Guild, there is a sophisticated maze full of traps and dangerous monsters. Sarevok went through here. We are following in his footsteps. Some of these creatures are resistant or outright immune to ranged attacks. Had to switch to our backup melee weapons. The Doom Guards are some of the most powerful non-boss creatures in the game, I'm pretty sure. As you can see, the maze is huge, even though so far it was mostly linear. A double lightning trap. That's a dumb way to go for a thief. Look, it actually vaporized Nira. Overall, the expansion character-only party was both effective and entertaining. Rassad was the weakest link.
Nestled atop the cliffs that rise from the Sword Coast.
Candlekeep. Cause it's a keep and there are a lot of candles to provide illumination while reading or whatever nerd shit going on there. You can't play Baldur's Gate, you know. Art, or media, tends to hit us the hardest when it's original, when it's something we're experiencing for the first time. Not so fast, tutor. Try to get into the head of a millennial playing this game for the first time as a kid in the late 90s or early 2000s. D&D RPGs were already a long-standing tradition even back then, but they all looked like this, or this. Fucking flight simulator UIs. Baldur's Gate was a monumental leap forward in accessibility. Today, much of its design might seem incoherent, but for a millennial teen, it was an experience, a magical adventure you remember forever. My hotel as clean as an Alvanars. This is the experience you, the viewer, cannot have. It was only possible 20 years ago. Baldur's Gate fans, my friends, this is an intervention. Join us in Morrowind. We have cow hormones and every Sabaton album. If you were wondering if it's possible to kill everyone in Candlekeep and still finish the game, the answer is, I don't think so. This guy casts a special spell that instantly kills us or imprisons us or something. And if you manage to avoid him, Gorion does the same thing. You know, I had time to think about this. A perfect Baldur's Gate 1 party is a fighter-thief, 4 fighters or rangers spec'd for longbows, and 1 multi-class cleric mage. We won't get this exact combination, but we can get pretty close. It's a curious ethical conundrum. Baal is the lord of murder. The more people we kill, the more powerful we become. This is why Sarevok was trying to start a war with Amn. Murder on the industrial scale appears to be one of the mechanisms that could bring the power of our dead father back into the world. Dr. Anchev, I'm with the Harpers. Baal. A lot of loyalty for a demi-human. It's not just us and Sarevok. There are possibly hundreds of children of Baal out there. The other mechanism for regaining the throne of blood is killing our siblings, the Baal spawn. We are forced to participate in this race. If we refuse, we'll eventually get murdered by another child of Baal who doesn't share our ethical sensibilities. So what do? How do we acquire the power of the Lord of Murder without acting like a psychopath? Something to think about. Let's begin with building an optimized group this time. Our first hire is immediately to the south of the starting zone.
It is not often that I come across strangers in this part of the world.
Kivan, or Kaivan, is a chaotic good ranger and a shot-in.
Don't bother me.
Reasonable stats, capable of using composite longbows, and the dex is good. The next companion is in this unnamed wilderness area.
Hold, travelers! I challenge your best warrior to a duel.
Shartil is a chaotic evil fighter misandrist. Kivan outlevels her, so the duel lasts for a little more than a second.
Men are pathetic.
I love how expressive this character is. Unfortunately, she doesn't show up in the sequel. Shar has fantastic strength and dex, but pathetic constitution. She's basically made to shoot a longbow. The next recruit is a Nashkel.
Go no further. I require the services of your group.
Yes. They will do nicely.
Adwin the Red Wizard is the strongest spellcasting follower in the game and one of my favorite characters in the saga.
You are so irritating.
Here in Baldur's Gate 1, he is a little underwritten, like most companions, but Adwin really comes into his own in the sequel. The writers and the voice actor or actors, spoiler, did a fantastic job. Dexterity could be a little higher, but other than that he has pretty much min-maxed stats. Edwin has a companion quest we need to complete as fast as possible, or else he leaves the party. Remember when Minsk the Ranger wanted us to save the Rashemi Witch? We need to do the opposite. Infiltrate the fortress and assassinate the sorceress. Wait, Minsk, Rashomon, Red Wizard? Oh, the genius of the Forgotten Realms world building. Edwin is the HK-47 of this franchise. Your reward for the murder is that I'll stay in your group, he says. We need a cleric and I know where to find one. Carnival is one of the areas just outside the town of Nashkel. This statue is Branwen, a cleric of Tempus, the god of war. Using a stone-to-flesh scroll, we bring the woman back to life.
By Tempus' shield!
The enhanced edition made important changes to this character, providing her with self-buffs that negate the somewhat low strength.
As you wish.
Your worthless lives end here.
Not the hardest challenge, sure, but overall I'm satisfied with how quickly we managed to dismantle this hostile adventuring band. Oh, by the way, it was Transig who turned Branwen into a statue, possibly the only instance of him demonstrating spellcasting competence.
Sorry, friend, but you've got a date.
Tell me.
The tent guards lost half of their number before the voice bark finished playing. Cloakwood, never underestimate the dangers of the forest.
Oh, travelers, hold a moment.
Koran, the fighter thief, is another follower. He is an elf with insane 20 dexterity, as well as innate +1 accuracy bonus with longbows. His strength is low, but it doesn't really matter because he is going to be using a normal longbow, not a composite one. There are simply not enough of those in the game.
Life is adventure or nothing.
The portrait is based on a photo of Greg Zelchuk, co-founder of Bioware. Honestly, with characters like this, I have no idea why pure class thieves even exist.
Your worthless lives end here.
Again, we killed the creature before Edwin even finished speaking his opener. Koran's companion quest involves hunting these wyverns in the forest. They're quite dangerous and can poison on hit. Look at that big dead wyvern in the background. The closest thing this game has to a dragon.
Aye, who's there now? More smithing? Or did ye burrow into another river?
Yeslik is a dwarven fighter cleric and my favorite healer in the game. Dex could be higher, so he's a prime candidate for the gauntlets of dexterity. Yeslik is also very stupid, which doesn't matter at all for his class combination.
You need only ask.
We replace Branwen with this guy. Yeslik isn't really better, but I feel our party needs some dwarven representation. One way of solving our ball problem is starting a mercenary business. That way, we should always be in the proximity to murder, always gaining power. This sounds like possibly the least ethical thing in the world, but keep in mind, this is the Forgotten Realms, the dumbass fantasy setting. In this universe, there is no shortage of creatures that are intrinsically evil. The mine used to belong to Yeslik's clan. Realtar was his friend. The Iron Throne meeting inevitably turns violent if the dwarf is in the group.
My honor is my life.
This is a Jantis. A Jantis? Whatever. A human paladin. A decent character who can be recruited early.
Helm, give me strength!
We won't be taking him, however. Too many evil party members. Pre-buffing before an important battle. I will tolerate no fuck-ups. Even in fights such as these, the archery-based party absolutely dominates. The expansion content will eventually force us into melee, however. A funny discovery, the effects of the Boots of Speed and the haste spell stack, at least in the enhanced edition. Our character moves like a bat out of hell. Alright, let's go get our invitations.
Serve the flaming fist!
Now, I had no intentions of allowing myself get caught by the cops. I misclicked the dialogue and accidentally triggered this unskippable sequence. But then something interesting happened.
Dreadfully sorry, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to kill you.
Angelo kills his own men, goes to Shartil's cell. I think they used to be in a relationship. Nice little bit of reactivity. Angelo frees us and says he hopes he'll never see us again. Actually, he'll be seeing us very soon. Let's do it right.
I am the law! I am the law! I am the law!
A little worried that we failed to do any damage to Sarevok. We should buy some +2 arrows. Here comes Winsky. They teleport out, and we're following, again through the maze. fool me once. Jesus Christ, these skeletons hurt. The maze gets more complex the further we get in. Until now, it was basically a linear path. We find Winsky mortally wounded. Sarevok didn't like being forcibly evacuated from the palace. But the wizard understands that all of this was inevitable. For Winsky, it was about his legacy. Sarevok was a project, a way to live past death. Deep below Baldur's Gate, there is the Undercity, ancient ruins inhabited by undead. The Temple of Baal is the only building still standing. Ahead of us is the last party versus party battle in the vanilla game. The mercs are not Sarevoks. They work for the Iron Throne, actually. Sent here to investigate Realtar's death, they arrived at the same conclusions we did. But just because they also came here to kill Sarevok doesn't mean we can be friends. That was an arrow of detonation. We can buy those as well. The smoky effect is the spell Cloud Kill, one of the more potent offensive sorceries in the game. Doesn't work on undead, so summoned skeletons are good here. That's the temple. Our brother is inside. And this is where the adventure ends, for now. As soon as we land the killing blow on Sarevok, the Siege of Dragonspear campaign begins, and that would prevent us from going back and finishing the content added by the Tales of the Sword Coast, the original 1999 expansion. As any Infinity Engine veteran would tell you, without exploring the Durlag's Tower, the Baldur's Gate experience is incomplete. We will come to Sarevok openly, and not by stealth. What should we say to announce our presence? It needs to be something heroic, something the bards can sing about. Sarevok! I fucked your dad! What should our mercenary company be called? This is our final character sheet, an underpowered class with overpowered stats. I am planning on eventually picking up a second class, a fighter, a mage, or a cleric. Haven't decided yet. Feel free to propose your strategies and arguments in the comments. If we are dueling to a fighter or a cleric, Vashar will stay a woman. If we are switching to a wizard, I will change the gender back to male, since I like the male wizard sprite much better. If you want to import this character into your own Baldur's Gate campaign, there will be a file you can download in the pinned comment below the video. Well, that's it. I hope everyone is doing well. Talk to you guys in a few weeks. If you want to see more stories like this one, support the channel on Patreon. I want to incorporate a Q&A session after every video, so if you are a patron, feel free to DM me random questions. They can be gaming related or just about whatever. The next vid is going to be on...
Are you blind? What in God's... I mean, better luck next time.